morning, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of the Inside Track. Now, we've got an unusual one today because we're talking about me, which is very unusual, Glenda. So, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. So obviously, we haven't done this, I think, since it must be series 2 or something. I think we have. I think we were talking about something to do with your business sale or something at the time. So it's been quite a while, Glenda, since just me and you enjoyed our own podcast. So yes, it's really good. So let's crack in.
So Ryan, I think it's really interesting because we just assume sometimes that everybody out there knows what you do. So I think we should take it right back to what you've been getting up to over the last year, maybe, quite specifically about all the consultancy you do, because I don't think people always appreciate the breadth of what you do for the clubs that you work with. So yeah, let's start there. Tell us a bit more.
Absolutely. I guess it's a strange one, isn't it? Because I've been around for so long and I just help clubs out and I'm here, there and everywhere and doing all these various things, that sometimes the core element of the business can get lost. So my business, obviously Black Raccoon Consulting, we've been around since 2014, I think, in various guises. It was Ryan Charlesworth Consulting beforehand. But the last year, it's taken off probably even more so than it ever did before. So Black Raccoon Consulting really is an end-to-end consultancy, as you know, Glenda. So predominantly we help out sales and marketing, but we also, what tends to happen is I go in for a club because they need help with their lead generation, their sales training, get the guys sorted. Then it turns into we need to sort out the operations, we need to sort out the retention, we need to have a look at the programming because the program isn't working effectively. So because of my background, so to pull it back a little bit, my background's been in sort of 5-star health and fitness pretty much most of my career. So worked for Holmes Place beforehand, obviously. They're only in Germany now, but Virgin Active took over all their clubs. Beautiful clubs, probably at the time the best clubs in the UK in the sort of late 90s, early noughties. They were fantastic clubs, stainless steel swimming pools, amazing facilities. So I went from there, had a brief journey with Fitness First. That wasn't. We won't go on too much about that. Wasn't my most exciting 9 months of my life, I must admit. And then with Marriott, so again, the sort of 4 or 5-star journey. So I'm used to working quality clubs, delivering quality service, and so I'm very much a believer, as a lot of people know, I'm very much a believer in the full service style clubs. I think what we do as an industry should be around helping people deliver results. It should be around service. We should be looking after our clients, and so all the clubs I work with tend to be around that ilk, whether they be independent, franchise, hotels, doesn't really matter. But I work with clubs that want to deliver a full service to their clients. I very rarely, not to say I wouldn't, but I very rarely work with budget clubs. Mm-hmm. Simply, one, it doesn't excite me. I'm not really a fan of just providing a facility. I don't see the excitement in it. But secondly, I think there's far more you can gain from going into a club, putting in programs that generally, one, increase sales, but secondly, reduce their attrition as well. So that's effectively what the consultancy does. And then to answer your question as to what I've been up to this year, wow. Continue working with the independents and the franchise clubs, a range of different clients. I don't tend to, just so people are aware, I don't tend to have a program that I launch and go, this is in a box, it gets landed into a club and I work with 50, 60, 100 clubs. That's not what I do. I tend to work with 5 to 10 club owners, and we work bespoke. So everything we do, everything is designed. Yes, it's based on my experience, but it is designed for that club. So I will write.
Do you, Ryan, when you first go into these clubs, do you do a full audit before you start then?
Absolutely. So the first things I'll do is go on site, do an audit of their sales process, their operations, their staffing, how because amazingly, a lot of the big wins tend to be how they manage their team. So you can go in and suddenly change how they're managing their team, the one-to-ones, the reviews they're having, how they motivate, and suddenly you get an instant boost. But yeah, it's a full review of their sales process, their operations, their staffing, their programming. That then comes back and go, okay, this is where you're at. And then, okay, we need to start off with, we need to pick the key areas. Because strangely, I'll often get brought in to go, we're not generating leads, Ryan, we're not selling. And then when you actually go into the business, it's not, that isn't the problem at all. You actually realize they're actually generating leads, but we're not able to convert those into active members, or they're losing too many out the back door. That I've worked with a couple of clubs, they're selling way above what you would expect a club their size to sell, but because they're losing way more than they're selling, they think their sales are the problem. And you sort of go, actually, no, we need to reduce that attrition level, get that to some sort of level of normality. You're sort of 2.5% a month max, get that down, and suddenly those sales that you've got will give you exponential growth. So yeah, we do a full review, and then we work down in terms of what the usually key 3 factors are.
What are the key trends that you've seen this year then, Ryan, in your work with the clubs that you've done? What's coming up?
Key trends in terms of new activities, or key trends in terms of where the industry's going?
Yeah, I think a bit of both. I think I'm just trying to get inside your head as to what you've seen out there this year.
Do you know what? Well, the big thing that I found is, and this is going back to this retention and attrition thing, there's so many clubs that are putting so much focus, and I think it's because, I mean, don't get me wrong, we've launched our own digital marketing platform, which we'll talk about, but they've put so much focus on digital marketing, that they've forgotten about what the business is actually about. So what service are we delivering? How are we looking after our clients? What are we trying to achieve with this business? Because it doesn't matter what leads we feed in. If they're flying out the back as quickly as they're coming in, it's a pointless exercise. So probably the biggest thing that I'm finding is, because everybody is pushing this social media as the outlet, it's actually putting too much emphasis on there. And yes, marketing has to be important. Of course it does. But the client journeys, most of the clubs I work with don't have a defined client journey. So what happens on the sales process? It's just allowed to be itself, if you know what I mean. It hasn't really gone, this is how we do it. So from the sales call, from the WhatsApp message, whatever, all the way through to joining. Okay, they've joined. What happens then? So what is that client journey? Where are we signposting these people? Do we push them in to try a class? Do we have them try PT? Do we give them the opportunity to buy, whether it be a protein shake, a t-shirt? So there's no journey in a lot of the clubs that I've been working with, and that's one of the key things we look at when we go in. So from an experience point of view, that's been that. I think in terms of the sort of trends, I went out to Bulgaria, as you well know, this year, which I really enjoyed working with the guys at Pulse. Now, they're still building. So in the UK, it tends to be boutiques that are cropping up a lot more. The smaller footprint and very niched sort of businesses. Over in Bulgaria, these clubs are 10,000 member clubs potentially, huge, old, David Lloyd without the tennis. They're amazing clubs. So it seems to be slightly different idea in terms of where the market is going. I think in terms of innovation, I do think it's sort of slowed down a bit. I think we had a lot of innovation off the back of COVID, but I think we've sort of plateaued now. I think we are seeing a lot more technology coming in. I mean, you work with a lot of technology brands, and I think that is starting to play a bigger part. It's not taking off as quickly as what I thought in terms of all the wearables and stuff like that. I don't think clubs are utilising the wearables as much as the individuals are. So I think there's a lot of people wearing the Garmins and the Apple Watches and everything else and having their own personal apps. But I don't think the clubs are making the most of it. So I know you work with True Connect, don't you?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't think those sorts of apps are really making it into the clubs to provide the service that.
So how have these owners that you've worked with, how have they found the actual market conditions over the last 9 months? What are they saying to you about the market in general?
Well, start of the year, really buoyant. Everyone we were talking to it was even off the back of, obviously, the utility thing was a major problem early on in the year, and people really worried because the utility bills were tripling, quadrupling, and that was a major challenge. Since that settled, I think the market was on a nice upward trend. Everyone I was working with, we were smashing results, hitting new highs. The last couple of months, though, there seems to really be a slowdown, and I don't think as many clubs had massive Septembers. Well, especially ones that I worked with, we've had okay performances, which is obviously we look for exceptional, but we've had okay performances based on previous years. And I think the more people I talk to, the more people are saying it seems a bit tight, Ryan. There's definitely a lot more clubs up for sale. That's
I guess people that are listening though might be quite critical and say, well, probably the clubs that are approaching you might be not doing so well, hence why they've went for a consultant. No,
there's some of that, absolutely, but you also have to remember that some of my clients I've worked with for 2 or 3 years, so we've got the full trend history of that. So yes, some of the clients I'll only work with for 3 to 6 months. I'll go in there and it pretty much is to give them that boost, get the right processes in place and make them a success. But I think because of my position, I do talk to a lot of operators, and yes, there are some that are buoyant and flying, but there's recently I've had a lot more approach me and sort of say, well, how do we get out? How do we sell the businesses? So I'm not saying the market's on depression, but I'm saying it does seem to have tightened off a little bit and plateaued. It's certainly not the same exciting feel it was when we went to the summer. Obviously, we've got the Winter Independent Gyms Conference coming up, and when we were at the summer one, it was a very buoyant feel. So it'd be interesting to see when we get to that what the general feel is.
So I guess, Ryan, in your opinion, though, in terms of your years of experience in this area, what's excited you that you've seen, and what's just still disappointing you? I just wonder.
In terms of disappointing, I'll start with that first because I like to finish on a positive. Disappointing, it's still this lack of understanding from national bodies. So more so the government. Obviously, you know my opinion on this, and I'm quite open about it. The government do nothing to help our industry. Now, I'm not a big one for VAT discounts and stuff like that. I don't necessarily think it would drive anything, but they brought out this big report saying they're going to get more people more active, and then didn't include our industry whatsoever. And
can we blame us for that? Do we have to blame ourselves?
I think there's a little bit of blaming us in the sense of I don't think we are very good at giving our true value. And to UK Active's credits, I know I've not always been the biggest supporter, but I think to their credit, they are trying to push that message. I think SimSpa and UK Active and UK Sport are trying to push that message, but it's not biting yet. People are not. So all we can hope, I think there will be a change of government in 12 months' time, and let's hope that Labour have a different output on it, or a different outlook, and they suddenly start seeing and go, okay, in order for us to get a healthier nation, we need to get more people active, and that includes health and fitness. But I do think one of the biggest challenges is we do have this almost arrogant belief that fitness is the solution to get more people active. And what we have to understand is we are a part of that solution. So sport plays a massive part, and so do many other activities, whether it be charity, whether it be trust, whether it be private industry, we all play a part. And I had a really good conversation with Andy King last week, and it's all about how you bring the NHS together, get them talking to local government, get them talking to private industry, and we all become part of the solution, rather than us suddenly believing.
So let's think about the positives. What's excited you that you've seen?
Do you know what's excited me? It's the fact that we still have growth. So I know I said it was slowing down. We still have growth. We still have growth in the boutiques. I still think there's some amazing stuff coming out. I was speaking to, obviously we had Cameron Falloon on from BFT the other week. His franchise is flying. You've got all these different businesses. And I think what's interesting as well is franchise hasn't died. So that's still giving people opportunities to get funding and follow their dreams and open up. You've still got independent businesses who go, okay, there's a niche there. I'm gonna open up. So I think the fact that we are still growing, there is still new things to come. I mean, I sent you on this morning, we won't talk about, but whilst I don't necessarily think that franchise is got too many legs, it's still a nice niche idea. People are thinking out of the box and thinking of new ways and new innovative ways to get people exercising. So I'm still really excited. I'm also, probably the biggest thing I like about the boutique market coming through and still having a strong presence is the fact that it goes back to that service. It's all about service. Yes, it's more expensive for people to join, but they're getting something from it. They're getting community, they're getting service, and they're getting the fun into fitness, which was what it's all about. So I think the fact that we're moving a little bit of, yes, budget's still there, but I think the fact that we're moving back into this service field is what I love. I think that's what fitness should be all about.
Amazing. So obviously for the people out there, Ryan, they know that you're a consultant, but recently there's a few other little strings to your bow been popping up. And I just wondered, especially with the work that you've done on your business Fit Leads, it would be really good for you to tell people more about how that fits with what you do.
Absolutely, of course. So Fit Leads was brought about because, as you know, we have a really good partnership program at Black Raccoon. So we have kit suppliers, we have printers, we have marketing companies, funnily enough, that we work with and do the stuff we don't. And what we found was there was quite a lot of our clients that were looking for social media companies, so ads companies, someone to do their organic social media, and also the automations, which are really important for the client journey. So we looked into it, or I looked into it, and I was like, well, okay, we keep outsourcing all of these things, and it's brilliant. We've worked with some amazing companies over the years, and but it was sort of time to go, okay, do you know what? We're going to bring this in-house. So rather than every time our client wanted a digital marketing company, we went outside, found someone for them, and then sometimes we even lost clients because they were sort of, well, do I pay you or do I pay them? And you got this yin and yang. So I decided it's time that we launched it now. I didn't go away and do a weekend course on social media ads because that's usually what Ryan's a consultant. What does he know about digital media? Absolutely. I've got a lot of experience in it, but I'm not a digital ads expert. So one of the companies that we work with, Grow Metrics, that they were the sponsor on the podcast as well. They have a digital system that allows them to do all the ads for us. So they work with big companies like BFT and F45 in Australia. They also run the social media for the likes of Barcelona and the British and Irish Lions, Wasps, who are relaunching. So a big company around the world. They've got 7 different arms to their business. Social media and digital is just one. They do podcasts, do all sorts of stuff. So we thought, well, okay, how can we incorporate them and still offer a great service? So they do all our front end ads for us. So we've got expertise. They can pull on the hundreds of clubs they work with in terms of what campaigns work, what don't work, what work for certain boutiques and so on. So we've got that expertise on tap, which is brilliant. We haven't had to go away and learn it and pretend we're good at it. They're just the experts. We then have FitPhone and Teamer, funnily enough, who sponsor us at the back end that can do our telephone calls for us. So when the lead comes in, instantly we've got someone there to pick the phone up and qualify those leads and get them booked in for the club. So we've got both ends of the spectrum. Where we come in as Fit Leads and Black Raccoon, we sit in the middle. So we have the program and the automations to create the landing pages, to create the websites, to create the funnels, which will then take that person from a lead from the ad and from the organic work that we do into the system, manage that and nurture that person. So if when FitPhone or Teamer ring them and they don't book in, we've still got that journey happening.
That's really good.
And so everything in the middle. So the great thing is, Glenda, I'm a real massive believer in getting your client journeys right. I've harped on about it. You've probably seen millions of posts about it on LinkedIn and Facebook. I think it's really important. And the great thing about our Fit Lead system is we can nurture your members, your ex-members, your prospects, anybody who gives you an email or a telephone number. We can nurture. We can help you generate that lead. We can help you nurture that lead, and we can even help you sell that lead. So what we've done is effectively gone, all the great advice we give people, we're now able to go, okay, from that advice, we're not just going to help you write it down and put it into a nice format. We're going to put it into a system that's going to manage everything for you as well. So especially in independent clubs. So a lot, just to give the listeners an example, a lot of the clubs we work with aren't your big David Lord or your Holmes Place or everything that I used to work with, where you had 5 people in the sales team, 4 receptionists, 27 gym staff and PTs. They don't. They usually have 5 people in the club, and they do the PTs, they do the classes, they do the reception, the sales, and they do everything. So to be able to take a lot of this pressure and this the client journey off them, in essence, and go, we're going to automate that, other than 1 or 2 calls that you guys still need to make.
Yeah.
But a bit like when we had Steve Jensen on talking about that 28-day journey, it's really important that that happens. And most clubs simply don't, because they don't have the staff or the technology to allow them to deliver that. So all we've done is taken everything we do and put it into the
administrative element being more automated and making sure that that funnel's being nurtured is really, really important.
And a lot of CRM systems don't do it, Glenda. It's strange. I could probably name you 25 CRM systems.
I know many where you have to build it yourself within it, which makes it challenging because it's time again. So what kind of results have you seen with that, Ryan?
In terms of results, we're driving leads. So we're 100 leads in a month driving through, but that's a combination of the Facebook ads. That's the combination of us doing ebooks. Ebooks is a fantastic. If people want a great idea and a simple one that they don't have to pay for the leads, create yourself an ebook, which is really easy to do using Canva, using ChatGPT. Create yourself an ebook, post it on there with a free link with a system like Fit Leads. And what happens is they click on the link, they fill in the details, the ebook. Now you've got that person as a lead to nurture.
Yeah.
The great thing about it as well, Glenda, with things like ebooks and stuff, downloadables, generally the people that are on your Facebook and Instagram tend to be the people that are following you for a reason. So there are the members, because obviously they've joined your facility, or they're local people that are following you. You will get the odd foreign person or outside of your arena as such, but generally they tend to be local people. So if you've got a decent following on your social media, ebooks are a really good way to reactivate that interest in someone. We've done everything from recipe books to healthy habits to nutrition guides. We've done a recent one. We've done a recipe book for Halloween. So the recipe book goes out for a club, and it's just got like healthy treats. Not that anybody really wants healthy treats on Halloween, but it's things like that you think, well, okay, I can now use my organic social to have more power. And what's really interesting is there's something that's come out over the last few weeks. Facebook in the EU, so Meta in the EU, is now, there's a new laws that have come out. I'm still reading all the details on them, but because of the GDPR rules, they're not allowed. They're going to have to give people an option to opt out of the ads. Mm-hmm. Now, at the minute, Facebook are thinking of having a membership base. So you're going to pay monthly conscription to $9.99 or whatever to have a non-ads Facebook. Now, depending on the take-up of that, the impact of ads is going to be so significantly less. Now, you can keep the Facebook as you've got it. If you want, if you don't mind the ads, you can keep it as it is. So there will be a high proportion of people that do that. But it'd be interesting to see then how much the organic content that you create may start to supersede or at least have a bigger impact, because the ads may not have as much impact because a lot of people may opt out of it. So that's another interesting thing. That's not happening in America, obviously, but that's very much an EU and UK thing. So
I know we had Steve Jensen on, who did an amazing job of describing the member journey, and you know what a great guy he is. And it takes me right back to the Casey Conrad days. You know, one of the best sales book I ever read about. Is it? You still got it? Yeah, I know. I mean, why we should be just giving that to everybody again, because
absolutely,
it's so funny how some of the things that we should still be doing have looked like they've been missing. And I just wondered, in terms of the actual member journey, anybody listening out there, what would be your top 3 tips, like real fast tips to make sure that you have a journey?
Well, one, I think you've got to sit down with your team and you've got to draw it out. So you get a whiteboard and draw it out. There are so many that will say to me, yeah, we've got a client journey, this happened. And you say, okay, so if I go and speak to Sally on the desk, she will know your client journeys and what's expected of them. What does the client get? What emails do the client or text message the client get at week 1, week 7, week 10, whatever?
Yeah.
So what does that journey look like? What can you impact? And also, what are you trying to achieve by that? So obviously, there's a very different client journey for a sale. So you get that telephone call, and you're going to obviously map that out in terms of what their journey will be. Some clubs, they want them to join online, so they push them to an online journey. If that's your journey, then fine, write it out and make sure that your automations suit that journey. If you want your first point of call to be the call, then an appointment, so you're going to sit down and do a proper needs analysis, which, coming back to Glenda, me and you are on the same page on this. I honestly 100% believe the telephone call is there to book an appointment. Same as a Facebook message, Instagram, whatever, is to book an appointment, get that person in your club so you can do a proper full needs analysis, sit down with someone, find their goals, understand what they're trying to achieve, and then sell them the membership. So that's me, but that may not suit every club. If you've got a club that doesn't really have that many staff, we may have to look at that differently. But you have to look at your resource, but put it on a whiteboard and go, okay, what touch points can we put in place? And then follow that through. Same as the member journey. Okay, what do we want them to do on that journey? We don't. Are we just going to sign them up? Away you go do your own thing. Do we have an induction in there? Do we put them with a personal trainer? Do we get them booked in for their first class? So that they, because a lot of people, as you well know, Glenn, I mean, you're a class instructor, I'm an ex-class instructor, but I wouldn't necessarily, there's certain classes I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable about. But if someone booked me in and encouraged me, I may go along and try it. But if someone doesn't, I'll just go in and do my own thing. I'll get on the squat rack and I'll do it.
That's an interesting one, that, because even in the, you know, everybody knows I'm an ex-club owner, but I think something that I did really well in my clubs was understanding that even from a programming perspective, for the average member, I don't mean the 20%er, but for the average customer, we should give them member journey even in their programming. So like we had at Soul Janet, we had Burn, Strong and Vibe, right? Burn was a cardio type class. Strong was more the functional strength work, and Vibe was to tackle the rising elements of stress that people have suffered, the fact that people don't stretch, the fact that people don't relax. And we used to tell a new member that if you can only do 3 classes a week, you do a Burn, a Strong and a Vibe, right? They loved it. And our member went out their way to make sure that they booked that model.
Yeah.
And that was so simple, but so effective, because a member then thought they had a journey in their programming in our club. Now, obviously, we went on from there when members were more experienced, but we absolutely, I feel we really nailed that.
But it massively increases retention, Glenda. That's the strange thing. A lot of clubs see it as extra work, but you're like going, actually, if you've got it written down and that's what happens, it's not extra work, because like you say, the member takes over the process. Because if you've sold it effectively, the member goes, oh, I need to go to.
And it creates habits, doesn't it? Because you've already therefore got them onto a 3 times a week scenario rather than just ad hoc workout by workout. So they bought into that model from day dot. So we were already guaranteeing that in the first few weeks they would do 3 workouts. I do think it's something that our club owners need to be thinking about. So I really think that message about the member journey, but not just from the sales perspective, the entire experience, what does that look like, is critical. Because I'm also thinking, Ryan, that if we knew much more where we want our members to go during that life cycle, we can then get the secondary spend up as well.
Well, that's the point, isn't it?
It's collaboration with other services, isn't there?
The thing is, they've proven many a time, the longer your member stays, the more money they spend. And I don't mean you make more money on their monthly direct debit because they stay longer. They actually spend more money. So they will spend more money on personal training. They'll spend more money on your specialist classes, on your nutrition products, on all this secondary element in your club. So your average yield for a club that doesn't have journeys might literally be their membership fee, £32 a month, and that's what their average yield is. You get a club that's got significant member journeys in place, and they know where they're going, how they interact with their members, getting them in the classes, creating a great community. That suddenly doubles, and if sometimes even more. There's clubs that I work with that they've got 28% of their members on some form of personal training package. Now, this is a 700 member club, so okay, it's not massive, but it's also not your 150 little boutique club. It's a half decent sized club, 4,500 square foot. So they've got 700, but 28% of their members are on PT, and that's because of the journey they take them on. It's almost seen as the norm. This is what we do. So,
well, this is something I was going to ask you, because the intel that I'm getting quite recent is that many clubs are reporting a rise in personal training since COVID. Why do you think that is?
I think some of it is, one, because people got scared. So I think the people that have come back to the gym have also gone, I probably need more support because I didn't know what I was doing. So there's some of that. I think health awareness has improved massively over the last 2 to 3 years since COVID. I think it's nearly 3 years now, isn't it? 3 years, but it's massively improved since then. So people's desire to get things right and to be fit and healthy, and rather than just turn up to a gym, has improved. I also think there's been a massive rise in your small group training and PT as a feature in clubs. So whereas before it was almost like an ad hoc, let's put some freelance personal trainers in the club and they can pay me a couple £100 a month rent or whatever. It's actually club owners have started seeing it, one, as a retention tool, but secondly as a way of generating genuine revenue. So I know a lot of clubs that brought their PTs in-house, so they're now paying for them rather than just being freelance, but either model works. But also a lot more clubs have started looking at this small group PT, which they're getting those 6, 8, 10 people into classes and doing that. Obviously, there's a lot of clubs opening up just doing that. But I think even the clubs that standard gyms have introduced those models. And on the flip side of that, they're getting more people into one-to-one PT because it's a great feeder. Those programs are an amazing feeder into one-to-one PT. So
no,
I think that is why.
Yeah, I think that's good advice about the member journey. And just going back to you for a minute, Ryan, is there anything else that you're up to that you want to fill us in on? And I just wondered what the next 6 months looks like for you in the business before we can then maybe let people know how to reach out to you and stuff.
Well, in terms of the next 6 months, obviously we'll continue with the Black Raccoon. Obviously, we're looking for one or two more clients to grow that. We have reached out to one of the big elements that we have done is we've brought a team together of sort of freelance consultants working under the Black Raccoon banner, and we're trying to get more work with leisure trusts. I think what those guys are doing in terms of moving from fitness to wellness, I know you've been excited about some of the stuff they're doing as well, and we'd love to go in and work with those guys to help them from the sales perspective and to improve. Because the one thing, those guys are brilliant at offering the service to their local communities, and they do some amazing work. It's just, I think a lot of them still struggle on those basic sales elements to sort of drive those leads and drive those sales and convert them and increase the conversions. If you have a look at the data that I put out for Pro Insights, produced some data, and they did it on leisure trusts, independents, and so on. And one of the big things was still one about generating leads, but how they manage those leads. So how they manage the telephone, how they manage the sale.
When did that come out, Ryan?
It's been out for a while. I think I posted sort of one. I'll send you a copy of it. But the main thing was when you looked at the detail, independent clubs and the private clubs were still pretty high in terms of when you looked at the reports. How they were managing that inquiry was still pretty good. They were in the 70s, 80%. When you looked at the leisure trust, that sales process still wasn't there. And it's a real shame because they do some amazing stuff to lose out on the opportunity to sell because they haven't quite got the processes in place. And obviously that's mixed across the country. There are some brilliant ones and then not so good ones, but that's where we want to work. So we brought together a really good team that allows us, one, to push out the fit lead stuff with it, but also to go in and do the sales training. And we've offered them a free sales and marketing review worth £1,500. So if there's any leisure trust managers out there that want us to come in and review their business, and then obviously see how we can help, obviously get in touch.
That's a great offer.
Absolutely. Effectively, we're going to come and give them a full sales review of their business. So we felt, because we've predominantly worked with these sort of independents, your franchise commercial businesses, we've never really gone into that leisure trust element. We felt we needed to give something back to go, look, we appreciate you've not worked with us before, but trust us. I think the one big thing that's different is because we come from a different side, because we come from that commercial side of health and fitness, we feel we can bring a lot to the industry. So rather than coming in and saying you do all this wrong, it's almost going, you guys do this amazing, but why don't you learn from the commercial side from that? So from all the sales stuff and everything that we do, from the commercial business to make them profitable and everything else, let's bring that into your leisure trust and let's double how good and how great you are. So that's one of the big things we're working on at the moment. And then the other thing that is coming in the new year, we have our program. So our supply chain program. So like I said before, we have all these different companies that we work with, from kit suppliers to CRM systems and everything else. We wanted to formalize it a little bit. So we've got our new website being built. Part of that will be our new Fit Supply Hub directory. So we're looking, and if people if they supply to the industry, get in touch, because we want to try and create a space so people don't, especially independent clubs. You see quite often on Rob's group, independent gyms. Does anybody know someone who? Now, obviously, they can go onto Rob's thing, but it's just having that space where people can just go, do you know what? I know if I go onto Black Raccoon on their Fit Supply Hub page, I've got all the suppliers there. So that's something that's coming for 2024. So if people are
Ryan, just something that you mentioned there that jumped out as well when you talked about the transition from fitness to wellness. Maybe it's important to remind people that, you know, when you get clients who really want to go on that journey, you reach out to people like myself who are more experts in the well-being piece. I think it's important to recognise that there are people out there that have said they've went into wellness, but all they did was change the name. And
absolutely. We talk about this regularly, Glenda.
If you say that you are in wellness, what does that actually mean? You know, how are you defining that? And how are you redefining the member journey for wellness as opposed to fitness? You can't just change the name and think that that's it done, right?
It's also a bit like I was saying about the digital marketing. I didn't go away on a weekend course and then pretend I'm good at digital marketing. In the same way, I would never try and sell wellness and resilience because I don't understand it. Now, I'm very lucky. I have an amazing person like you that I just call on. But I think anybody who's looking to go down that route, if they want to bring wellness program into their fitness club, whether that be a leisure trust, independent, large corporate chain, they need to speak to people like you, Glenda. And if it's not you, then it needs to be someone who's recommended by you. Because let's be honest, you're right. There's loads of people that have suddenly gone, we're wellness experts. And then you look at their background and going, really?
Well, the other thing is, you know, it's not just a change. It's not just a rebrand. It's got to be a complete repositioning of the entire business for well-being. And I don't think, and it's admirable. I think that the will is there, but I think that really starts with a re-education of what that's going to mean for your business. And then once you know the direction of travel and your vision for that, how do we train people? How do we upskill them? How do we educate them? How does that member journey that you described change? What does it look like? What are we measuring? Because that's the big one for me, is I think we measure the wrong measures. Because
I think a lot of the time we don't measure at all, Glenda. I think a lot of these businesses
either don't measure at all, or you cannot prove our worth in the well-being space if we are physically relying on attrition and retention data. That doesn't tell us anything about how that person improved their well-being, right?
Absolutely.
They could be there, but it doesn't mean that they've achieved anything. So that's an interesting
How many clubs
idea.
do you know, Glenda, that could actually tell you how over the range of their members, how they've improved their fitness?
Not many.
There's very few.
And actually, you know, a lot of people, I know that to jump into the wellbeing space is a big commitment, it's a big investment, but there's huge opportunity there, because I always wondered why fitness assessment was not something that we made money off of. So when you start to really draw out the lines of your cash flow, you can start to see the additional income streams that you can be bringing in by being repositioning in towards well-being. So, you know, you might have a menopause program for women. You might have a men's health program. You might have webinars for the corporate market. So there is huge opportunity despite the investment and commitment. I just really hope, and it's my rally cry, that if we're going to say that we're now in well-being, that we really do it justice, right? That's for another podcast. Maybe me and you can talk about that when we do chat about what I've been getting up to this year.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I know we haven't got a huge amount of time, but we are going to talk about your book quickly, because I think it's a huge celebration. I know it's a labour of love for you, and the book is absolutely flying off the shelves. So do you want a 2-minute or however long you've got, Glenda, just to talk about this amazing? I love the book. I think it's amazing. I know you had your book launch, and sorry I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, I just want to thank people, to be fair, who have either told someone about the book or purchased the book, because for me, the key reason I did the book was all of the mindset, skill set and tool set tips that I call them lifesavers that are in there were life-changing for me over the last 7 years when I went on my deep dive discovery for my own resilience.
Yeah.
And I just feel that there are many people out there sometimes that have a silent struggle that actually, when we start to get back to some basics, we can make some massive difference. And that was the main reason behind the book, is that I wanted more people to have access to simple techniques that I know work, that they might not be aware of. And I'm just really proud of the fact that the actual intention of the book and the spirit by which it was written, people have really embraced in terms of who have seen it, recommended it, and therefore purchased it, right? For me, it's about the maximum number of people experiencing what's within the book. And that's why I made it a 1-year journey. That's why I wanted the book to be a friend in your pocket. And, you know, a friend that really is what metaphorically and physically a friend, you know, that you can rely on it to just help you when the clouds come in and just make it a little bit lighter. And it was a lovely experience. I'm super proud of it. I do feel it's one of the best pieces of work, single pieces of work I've ever done.
Well, it's in the Amazon top sellers. So it's,
I'm really stoked about that, because
it's awesome. If anybody wants it, just so if anybody's listening, they want it. Obviously, we'll make sure there's the link. I think the link is in the post, so you can go on to Amazon.
Yeah.
But it is on Amazon. Go and get it. It's not an expensive book, but it is a fantastic read, and I think everybody. It's one of those books that it will. When my copy arrives, will be sat next to Casey Conrad's. Now, obviously, I was quite lucky. I had
more than a book, right? Time ago, you know, the idea that it's a book, a program, and a journal all in one is a cool thing to have in the one resource. But yeah, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody out there that's supported me. I feel very blessed about that, and all I ask is that people give me feedback on how it's working for them, and that makes me really happy. Ryan, just before we finish, can you just tell people how to get a hold of you if they want to talk to you about consultancy or fit leads?
Absolutely. So you can either go to Fit Leads is www.fitleads.uk and pop an inquiry into there and see what we do. Black Raccoon, as always, is blackraccoon.org, and then obviously have a look at what we do. Most people will see me on LinkedIn. If you're not connected with me on LinkedIn yet, send me a connection request. I'm happy to do so. And then obviously we can have a conversation through there. All my details will be on the podcast as well. Same again, just quickly while we're on, the other thing that we do have, Glenda, which is worth talking about, is obviously next series of the podcast. So if anybody is in a position and wants to be a guest or wants to sponsor, like the guys at the top of the screen, if you want to be a sponsor, then obviously give us a shout and we'll obviously help push your brand as well. So really enjoy that, Glenda. It's very rare for me and you just to be me and you on the podcast. Obviously, we speak most days, but
amazing. And well done for all the hard work, Ryan, and the good work that you're doing. I think some people forget that there are clubs out there that really do need that support. And my final advice to people out there is, if you're struggling with something that's really taking up a lot of time and headspace, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Reach out to Ryan.
I don't charge, just so everybody knows, I don't charge for an initial phone call. Some do.
Yeah, I think that, and I want to say that I've never met anybody in the industry that's got more care and real good intention for their clients than you, Ryan. And I would say that on record. So I wish you well with the next few months, and yeah, really nice to catch up and hear a bit about what you're doing. So thanks, Ryan.
Absolute pleasure. We'll catch you soon, Glenda.
Take it easy.
Cheers. Bye.